So you can see that it's recording. Thanks for coming, Jim. We're looking forward to learning more about the Oxford resources that can be used in classrooms in Ontario schools, K to 12, but most likely in the junior, intermediate, senior levels, from what I know of these resources. And I'll let you explain further.
All right. Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and hello to everyone, and thank you so much for giving me a couple of your minutes at the end of a long day. My name is Jim Barron. I'm one of the Oxford University Press reps for Ontario, and as alluded to, I'm here to tell you about a few of our products that are particularly well suited for ESL students for a variety of ages and language abilities. And of course, one of the things that these resources will all have in common is that they are available digitally, and they're easy to use in an online setting or in class. When we do find ourselves back in the classroom. You'll see running along the bottom of this presentation on future slides, I will leave up my email address and phone number. And that's because in most circumstances, if you're interested in acquiring any of the resources you see today, your best bet is to reach out to me directly, and I will make sure you get the right product in the right format and everything like that. So without any further ado, let me begin. And rather than do an overview of what we'll be covering, I just want to jump right in. First and foremost, with the Oxford Picture Dictionary, which, if you don't already know, is an excellent resource for very low-level students. This resource is very commonly used in high schools and elementary schools. It's primarily a vocab resource, but you can address a number of other skills with it as well: reading, writing, listening, speaking, grammar. Let's take a quick look at the inside of the book, just in case anybody's not familiar, or if you haven't seen the newest edition that you see here. And this is available in print or digitally as well. So when you open the book, it's filled with vibrant illustrations. They're specifically designed to be very clear, very easy to understand, so that students can develop basic vocabulary through a number of different topics. And along with developing essential vocabulary, there are a number of smaller activities on each page that expand what you can do with the book. This includes having students do simple exercises like having conversations with classmates or conducting surveys. Some pages have very simple short stories to read. And so these are all there to reinforce the vocabulary that they learn in each section. You can usually find these activities in the little gray boxes around on the page. And so those just help support the vocabulary. Another nice feature of the Picture Dictionary is that this is a Canadian adaptation. So you'll see some nice Canadian flourishes throughout. You'll see maple leaf flags and Canada Post instead of the US Postal Service. You'll see Canadian spellings of words, et cetera, things like that. And so that is, that's the book itself. It's kind of self-explanatory and well, out there in the market. And so I don't want to take too much time on that right now. But it is a really popular resource. If you have low-level students, especially in secondary schools, there's really no doubt that you'll find it beneficial. But there is a companion product to the book that will unlock a lot of opportunities for expansion on the contents of the dictionary itself, and that is the OPD Teacher Resource Center. And basically think of this as an online resource bank that contains all the extras that you sometimes purchase to go along with core textbooks. So your audio CDs, for instance, your book of lesson plans, your book of activities, all that kind of stuff. We've taken all of that, we've put it all online for teachers to use and put it under one product. And one way to use the product is as a literal companion to the book. So if, for instance, you are on the page of the book considering the park and the playground, you can go to a page with a number of additional resources for just that page. You'll find lesson plans, classroom activities, image banks of the images that are in the books. You can see a list of some of the types of activities that are there. They can all be downloaded to your computer. They're 100% reproducible. So you can make these use them to make worksheets. You can stream them over Zoom. You can make PowerPoints with them. Whatever you want to do, as long as you're using it for your own personal use in your own classroom, you're set to use these whatever way you see fit. And the exact resources that are available vary slightly depending on what section of the book you're using. For instance, this section here has more activities, and it also has a video that students can watch. So there's just a huge number of resources available for each section of the Oxford Picture Dictionary. And without getting too deep into this platform, because again, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but another way that people use the online resource is as a general resource bank. So let's say you want to show your students a video or you want to work on pronunciation and you're not too picky about what topic you're covering. You can browse by resource type and find out what works are best for you in that way too. A quick caveat for the Teacher Resource Center, it has not been adapted for Canada. So when you look up resources online such as this, there will be a few instances where the content doesn't match up, like they'll, there's a video about the weather and they list the temperature in Fahrenheit, little things like that. But for the most of the content, it does match up perfectly with the book, and it is a great companion. So when you use these two products together, the Teacher Resource Center and the dictionary, you take what's already a very solid vocabulary resource and you transform it into a 4 skills Canadian resource for low-level students that I guarantee you will come back to time and time again for your class. And these resources are available digitally. The Canadian version is available on redshelf.com. You can go to redshelf.com and search for Oxford Picture Dictionary, or I'm just going to very quickly put a link in the chat. If I can remember where the chat feature is in Zoom. I don't use Zoom too often. I forgot that I'm not using Teams for this.
That's okay. You can email it to me too, and I'll post it with the resources.
You know what? Let's do it that way.
Yeah,
sorry about
good.
that. But yes, but even if you don't have the link, it's real simple. Redshelf.com and search for Oxford Picture Dictionary, and you'll see it come right up there. And so on the Red Shelf, I'm just going to, let me pull up so that's what the website looks like there on Red Shelf. It allows you to rent access to the book for a specific period of time, either 6 months or a year or 5 years. The prices are listed in US dollars, but you can purchase a personal copy directly from that website. Alternatively, if you want a permanent version, be in touch with me and I can help arrange that for you. And again, if you have any other questions about either of these resources, just let me know. Wanted to move along to our graded readers. This is the other resource that I wanted to talk to you about today that's going to be really useful for a range of different grade levels. So if you're looking for books for your ESL students to read, our graded readers give you the ability to choose titles that are at the right language level, in a variety of genres, and at the right age range for your students. So you can work with all 3 of those variables together to find something that your students are going to be interested in reading. We have a few different series. We have 6 or 7 different series of graded readers, but there's just a few that I want to focus on today. We have our Bookworms library, which is best for intermediate and senior grades. We have our Dominoes, which also works for intermediate and senior, but you can also use it in the junior grades. And then we have the Read and Discover and Read and Imagine, which is good for primary and junior. But first, I'm going to start with the Bookworms, tell you a little bit more about that. So this is our most popular series of graded readers, and it has the broadest range of titles. This is something I get asked about a lot. High interest, low level readers. Some students need a reduced language level that will help them develop their reading ability, but they want something that's engaging and interesting and not childish or underneath their maturity level. So Bookworms are great for addressing those concerns. So let me show you an example of what one of our Bookworms looks like on the inside. This is Tom Sawyer. It's a level 1 book. Maybe a high AO or a low BO student, roughly, maybe. You'll see it truly does resemble a quote-unquote real novel. There are some simple illustrations to enhance the text, but the text remains the star of the show, if you will. Students will really feel like they're reading something that's appropriate for their age level. There are some supports in the book for ELLs, such as a glossary for students to define the vocab that they're coming across in the book. There are also some activities for before reading, during reading, after reading. They're included at the back of the book. So once again, they don't intrude with the overall feel of it being a real novel. There's also some teacher supports for these books, quizzes, placement tests, worksheets, lots of great stuff. You can find those on a link at the back of the book, on the back cover of the book. So the book you just saw was from our level 1, and the series ranges from starter through to level 6. So you can see here, these levels correlate to a number of different language metrics. There's a CEFR on there, there's IELTS, TOEFL. They're not explicitly correlated to the Ontario curriculum because it's a global product, but the range goes from very low, you can see an IELTS 1 in the starter level, all the way up to, in our level 6, you're maybe at an IELTS 7 and you're almost fluent. And everything in between. So don't worry about taking in all this information right now. I just wanted to illustrate that this information is readily available to help you decide which level corresponds to your students' needs. And once you've got a handle on what age range you're looking for and what language level you're looking for, we have a wide range of different genres, because obviously different things are going to resonate better with different students. And that's a real strength of the Bookworms series. If you know your students tend to go more for a certain type of story, you can find something that will truly engage them. One of the most prolific and popular of these categories is our adaptations of classical literature. So you've got, Tom Sawyer, Anne of Green Gables, Alice in Wonderland, stuff like that. But we also have a wide array of original fiction. There's sci-fi, romance, mystery, crime, all kinds of stuff. There's plays in there. I'm going to switch over. We've got even more varieties over here. The true stories section is still narrative stories, but they're based on true events. And we have fact files, which are straight up nonfiction, biographies, global issues, things like that. We have collections of short stories from certain areas of the world, such as Africa, New Zealand, Pacific Rim. There's really all kinds of choice available for your students. So that was our Bookworms. And again, that was sort of our major series, but we also have another really great series called the Dominoes. And in a lot of ways, the Dominoes are very similar to the Bookworms. They're good for intermediate and senior, although I would also recommend this for juniors as well. They're still engaging. They are still read like novels a lot of the time, but they are different in a few important ways. One of those distinctions, or probably the biggest distinction, is, as you can see on the caption on the screen there, these books are really aimed at beginner students who need a lot of support when reading. So how do these books do that? For starters, there's an additional level lower than the lowest level of Bookworm. It's called the Quick Starter level, and it is really for pure beginners. So if you're already at the lowest level of Bookworm and that's not low enough, try the Dominoes. You'll also notice right away when you open any of these Dominoes, the illustrations of the book are more numerous, they're more detailed, they're printed in full color. They really support the text that the students are reading quite nicely. And speaking of illustrations, many of the titles, especially in the lower levels, they're presented in a comic book style rather than a traditional novel. Some of the Bookworms are presented in a comic book style too, but fewer than the Dominoes. And so this can really help lower level readers build their confidence. Also, compared to the Bookworms, you'll find many more reader supports throughout the Dominoes book. So vocabulary is defined on the same page as the text in the margins. There's more activities to support comprehension, and those activities come after every chapter instead of at the end. So if the Bookworms are still a little too advanced for some students, or you want books that have more direct supports in them, highly recommend checking out the Dominoes. There's also free online teacher supports for these too. Check the back of the book for links. Last one that I wanted to tell you about was the Read and Discover series and the Read and Imagine series. It's technically two different series, but they're kind of, partner series. They're based on each other. They're similar in a number of important ways. They're meant for younger students, so you can use these for primary. You can use them for junior. I'd say by intermediate, they're probably a little too old at that point. So grades, 2 through 6 is the real highlight there. Like other series, they come in levels 1 to 6, so you can get the right language level for your students. The difference between the Read and Discover and Read and Imagine: Read and Discover are nonfiction, Read and Imagine are fiction. I'm going to focus on the read and discover because, in my opinion, they're a bit more useful. And they have a lot of great subjects that provide opportunities for curriculum tie-ins. So let me just quickly show you what that's about. They're fun ways for children to learn about the world around them. And along with text for them to read, there's lots of brightly illustrated visuals. Some of them are even labeled to reinforce vocabulary. You can see that chart on the right-hand side of a diagram and an eye. So, kids can learn sort of scientific terminology as well as work on their reading and their language skills. These books have additional activities in the back, similar to the other series that you've seen. I just want to quickly show you the range of different topics, and this isn't all of them. This is just a small sample, but just to give you an idea that one of the reasons I like this series so much is that a lot of students in younger grades, they might get less ESL specific time. And so, a lot of them are going to be spending more time in homeroom or in core classroom, whatever you want to call it. These books are a great way to include them in the curriculum topics that their non-ESL classmates are engaged in also. And I didn't specifically mention the Read and Imagine series very much. That's the fictional version of these. But each of these nonfiction books has a corresponding partner book that's fiction. So if somebody reads the electricity book and they really like that, there's a fictional story that kind of ties in with it to provide an opportunity for extensive reading. So you have all this information about graded readers. There's hundreds and hundreds of books to choose from. How do you know which ones are right for you? The first thing I recommend you do is to download the graded reader catalog, which is at that big long link that's there. I was going to throw one in the chat for you, but I think I'll just send one to Christine instead, and she can send it out to you. And again, you can always be in touch with me. My email's at the bottom, my phone number's at the bottom. I'll be happy to send you a digital version of this catalog. The catalog is great because along with having a lot of important information like a synopsis of the books you're reading or that you're going to read, going to order, and what components are available and all that nitty-gritty stuff. They also have these really helpful visuals that help you choose a book. So there's a chart, you pick your level. First, you choose what series you want, which is, and that's going to settle your age range. And then you choose what a language level you want on the horizontal axis, and then the vertical, you're choosing a genre. And then right there, you can see, oh, I have a really low level quick starter student and they like mystery books. So, okay, there's Sherlock Holmes, there's Sorcerer's Apprentice, there's Zombie Attack. There's 3 books I can look at right away that might be interesting. So the catalog has tons of resources that will help you get to which ones are right for you. And of course, I'm always available to help you out as well. Really, really quickly, these books, the vast majority of them are available digitally. You'll see in the catalog, there are some additional features that are great to have when you're reading the books digitally. You can listen to an audio version of the text as you're reading it, and sometimes individual vocabulary terms are available via audio too. The books are interactive a little bit to a degree. Some of the activities in the back of the book, if you're completing it, some of the fields you can actually fill them in. So if you're doing a guided activity in class or students are doing this on their own, they can fill in these forms. They can click a button, they can get a fill in the blank type of thing. They can fill in that answer, and then they can actually get feedback as to whether or not they did it properly. So there's lots of great features of the digital books. If you have any questions about them, please reach out to me. And that brings me to my final slide. I don't actually have a clock in front of me, but I'm sure I'm over my 15 minutes at this point. So I just want to quickly let you know, if you're interested in any of these resources, whether you want to purchase them or you just want to know more about them, the easiest way to do that is just to reach out to us. Every school is different, every board is different, every teacher is different. We really like to speak to people to learn exactly about what you're looking for, what exactly you want, and we can help you make sure you're getting the right product. So we can make sure you have all the correct components, that your digital stuff is set up properly. And although I showed you the link earlier for Red Shelf, which you can totally use, even with Oxford Picture Dictionary, if you have questions, feel free to be in touch with us, because we like to talk to people, and we like to help people make sure they get exactly the right product for what they need. I'm one of the reps for Ontario, and geographically speaking, I cover most of the province. But if you live in the city of Toronto, in Durham, or anywhere else east of the GTA, your rep is actually Kevin McCourt. And you can feel free to reach out to him. If you don't know who to reach out to, just reach out to me. I'll make sure you get to the right person. I dropped a lot of information on you just now. There's still lots more that I'd be excited to tell you about if you're interested. So please reach out. We can make a time to have a chat. If you need something right away, give me a call, because as you're painfully aware, I'm not going anywhere exciting these days, so you can always reach me. Please be in touch. That is all for me. Thank you very much. I am free if anyone has questions. I'm also free to leave you all alone and get you on with your day. So thanks very much again for your time.
Thanks, Jim. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them into the chat, or just to come on, or turn your speaker on. Microphone, I guess it would be. Jim, thank you so much for that very quick overview of all of those amazing resources. I know we use a lot of them in our board, and for acknowledging the reality that this group of students that we're supporting are part of mainstream classrooms and don't often get as much one-on-one time or small group time as we would all love. So again, to note that, and to know that those resources are used, can be used to support in mainstream classrooms is amazing. So there's a question, what grade range was the Read and Discover series?
Read and Discover is primary junior. I don't know about grade one. Grade one might not be high enough, but I guess it sort of depends. I'd say by grade 2 or 3 up to grade 6, you're good to go for the Read and Discover. And that's same for the Read and Imagine, which is the fictional counterpart to Read and Discover.
Okay, thanks. And that's because of the content more so, or the
yeah, the themes and the content and everything is geared for a lower age range. But again, within that, you've got higher language level too. So if you have a student who is closer to fluency, but is still really young, you can find something that fits really well. And of course, the other way too. Any combination of them that you need, there's something. Sample pages that you can see in the Read and Discover series, yes, those are available. Once again, I will send. I might be able to do this quickly right here, if I can get my act together. Yes, I can. On our global online catalog, we have the ability to look at samples of many of our different books, and I'm just going to quickly pull that up here and see if it pops up. Looks like my computer's being a little bit slow and might take me a while to pull that to you. So I'll send you a link to where you can see some samples of that. And again, feel free to be in touch with me about that too.
Yeah, if you send a link, well, I will post the recording on the webpage, and then all the links that you've kind of mentioned throughout, we can link them in there, and then they're quick and easy, especially the catalog. Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's great. And if there's no more questions,
thank you, I'm sorry, everyone. I have one question. Do you still have the content area for kids?
We do, and that one, I didn't mention that in my talk today because unfortunately it's not available digitally.
Okay.
It's only a print resource, but for those who may not know, that content areas dictionary is just like the picture dictionary, but it is aimed at a lower age range, so it's great for elementary, and it covers Canadian content areas. So it'll do some social studies, it'll do some Canadian geography, it'll do along with all the other basic vocabulary too. So that's a great resource. If that sounds like something that would be interesting to you, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, unfortunately, that one's not available digitally.
So tricky now.
Just a quick question myself. Whoever just asked, I didn't see who it was, reminded me that years ago there was an Oxford Picture Dictionary for kids, and it actually said for kids written kind of like in a crayon scrawl. Mm-hmm. And it was very much primary. So like that sort of kindergarten 3, and then it disappeared. Has that ever come back or anything like that? Because that was fantastic.
We have a number of different offshoots of the Picture Dictionary, and I believe that there is a version for kids available. Once again, the challenge in that will be, is it available digitally? And the answer to that is I don't think so. Because a lot of the picture dictionaries are just print resources, unfortunately. I believe I looked into that for leading up to this presentation, and I don't believe they are available digitally, but we do still make them. They still are in print, and they come in a variety of different names and whatnot. So if that's something that you're still interested in, you know, please be in touch. And oh, I put my email in the chat, but I sent it just to one person by accident. I'll do that again. You know, be in touch with any questions that you've got. I'll type it properly so that you can actually get it in without the typo there. There you go. Yeah, be in touch. I'll be happy to go through some of the options there. We also have a basic Oxford Picture Dictionary, which is not necessarily for children, but it's like even lower language level than the regular picture dictionary, like basic vocabulary, the plainest possible illustrations. Again, not available digitally though.
Good to know about.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any more questions? Thanks, Jim. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening or this afternoon and taking the time. And yeah, we'll put the recording on the webpage if anyone else is interested in watching it.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great